Welcome in, Clips and Dip, episode 134. I'm Adam Oslin. We got Chuck Mockler and William Updike. The tripod is back in effect and fully operational once again. Good to have you guys. If you're watching us on YouTube, yes, we are there now. Some people are just finding that out. But the numbers, the rating spike we're getting over the last couple of episodes, maybe it's us, maybe it's because the Clippers are in the playoffs now. Either way, people seem to enjoy the YouTube experience on Clips and Dip. Coming up later
Biggest numbers for a Clippers podcast ever, I've heard.
the best Clippers podcast ever. Oh, somebody already says that all the
Longest
time.
running
Sorry.
also.
Okay, we'll take it all. Oh, well, Clips and Dip. I mean, we've been around for almost a full season now, so
Yeah,
easily longest
We're
running.
going on one, yeah.
Coming up later in the show, we had a request, as this is a mailbag edition of Clips and Dip, playoff edition as well. They want grades, regular season grades on this season from each and every player. We'll get to those. Plus, we'll talk about Tinker and Ty. Do the Clippers have to go down 2-0 again for them to win the series? I hope not, because that didn't work against Phoenix the last time. And also, Coach Lou talk and Bones Highland, how much run will he get? But first, Chuck, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Chuck Mockler. As you can see on the screen, all of our names are there. T-Bone, Will Updike. It's a good time.
Who changed my damn name?
Will's able to do that, as the videos are here at Clips and Dip. No, I'm feeling good. It feels weird to have this much time off, just because like ending the season on a back-to-back and then having a week until the playoffs is kind of like a weird endorphin stop and start, especially with how hectic that closing weekend was. But I'm feeling good. I don't know if I'm coming around on the Clippers being able to really take care of business in this series without Paul George now that the schedule has been released, which bums me out, but I'm doing good. Will, how are you?
I'm doing great. If you're viewing this on YouTube, as you should be, I'm drinking some red wine, so you might get to see a good wine mouth going on over here. But I'm doing pretty good. I got to watch some terrible basketball last night that meant absolutely nothing to me, so that was really fun.
Sure.
And I do mean that in a positive way.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to this playoffs. We talked about it last episode, but I'm just really curious to see the game 1 to game 2 sort of what we see kind of flip and what the Clippers are able to kind of pull out of their sleeve to make something happen when they're a little bit undermanned and certainly an underdog.
All right. Well, mailbag edition, TRL here. And I asked the first question. I actually sent this in at Clippers Pod on Twitter.
Yeah.
I didn't at you guys. I should have, because it looked like I'm almost talking to myself here since I'm a part of that Clippers Pod.
A little bit.
But here's the question. Why don't you guys pick the Clippers to win for the vibes? That's my question. Because last time out, we had our series predictions. I have the Clips in 6. These guys have the Clips and dip out of the playoffs in the first round, basically.
To be fair, I think we both gave it 7 games. We weren't like, it's going to be a gentleman's sweep, 5 game. Like, there's just... So we're going to talk about the schedule, but Lucas Hahn brought up something really good on Twitter that I think is important, is the Clippers play a bunch of games, and the first 2 games are in a small amount of time, and there's only one, I think, 2-day break. PG's recovery is based on days, not games.
Right.
So more games earlier is bad for the Clippers, is what Lucas Hahn was arguing, in terms of a PG return, which I kind of agree with. Like, I think that's hard. So if PG comes back, hey, toss up. We just don't know when he's coming back. And God, we got to win game 1. Game 1 is so important. Will, how come you didn't say Clippers?
Look, I mean, where I'm at with it is I don't think that the Clippers are necessarily as far away as certainly Vegas odds has them, and I think
I will agree with that.
They've all been written out, and who knows? It could end up being like that Heat Hawks playing game, right? Where I think 12 out of 12 of the ESPN analysts who voted on that all picked the Heat to win that game, and they got smacked. I guess the thing that I'm still having trouble getting over is just I'm like looking at the season and looking at like even the box scores or whatever metric you want to take. When have we seen this Clippers team play 4 good games out of 7. And I mean like exceptionally good games against good competition. And I'm just struggling to see that. And I know that this is a different team in the playoffs theoretically. You know, these are older guys. These are guys who have hopefully kept something in the tank. We all know Kawhi is going to hit another gear, but just body of work wise. Yeah, but body of work wise, I'm really struggling with that. I'm really having an issue trying to get over that. Adam, talk me down. What you got the Clips winning this one. How can this playoff performance for the Clippers be drastically different essentially from what we saw through 82 games?
Well, first of all, I'm just giving you guys a hard time. Your assessment based off everything we've seen in the regular season of the Clippers losing in the playoffs is not unusual or crazy. And just because we're doing a Clippers podcast doesn't mean we need to all be homers here and just say, oh, the Clippers are going to win.
For the vibes, though, the vibes have just been horrible all season is my issue.
My vibes aren't great today after the schedule came out.
Right. We got that's what we got to talk about too, because we got screwed on the schedule.
As always,
Sure.
I'm still upset about what happened during the 2021 playoffs. No team in NBA history has had a more condensed playoff run than that Clippers team.
For a month straight.
The turnaround from beating Utah and then being in Phoenix for game 1 36 hours later was absurd. And now this is the only series that doesn't have a 2-day break within the first 4 games of the series. We just got that information earlier today when the Clippers desperately need Paul George to come back and therefore to stretch out the first couple of games. Why do the Lakers get rewarded for being a play-in team, winning last night in a not very impressive fashion? And now they get 2 days off, unimpressive fashion, 2 days off between games 1 and 2 and games 2 and 3. Why does an older team like that get rewarded? And the Clippers in this situation and the Phoenix Suns, I'm sure they might have a gripe too. While they are wanting, to avoid Paul George coming back.
Yeah.
Chris Paul is an older player at 37 years of age, and they could use more rest. Why does this always happen to them? And I'm not trying to bitch about the schedule too much, but was so typical. Everybody was like, well, Clippers getting the bad schedule, getting the short end of the stick once again.
You look at LA as a whole right now, Kings, Clippers, Lakers are all in the playoffs. Like the LA Kings is what I mean. So Staples Center is in like full on, let's be as busy as we possibly can be mode for this next couple weeks. So like, it's terrible. I cannot wait for Intuit to get back or to be here for the Clippers. Like, if you haven't seen the schedule, Clippers play Sunday at 5, Tuesday at 7, both in Phoenix. We're at home on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Then we have a 12:30 p.m. game that next Saturday, which is terrible. Tuesday in Phoenix, and then, Thursday's home. Games 5, 6, and 7 TBD, but it's Phoenix, LA, Phoenix. So that 12:30 game on Sunday is, and pardon my French, fucking unbelievable. There's so little turnaround time. In between, I think game 4 of Clippers Suns tips off like 7 hours before game 3 of the Lakers series is what I saw on Twitter.
This is what gets under my skin, and I think irks others in Clipper Nation. The Lakers complain after the Jason Tatum non-call, which should have been a foul. The rest of the season.
Not just complain. LeBron James was on his – I had to reenact the LeBron James tantrum because Will's partner, Casey, was like, oh, what did that look like? And I'm like, I had to reenact. He was pounding
performance art.
Like, no! Like, he was like he was like an 80s action movie hero whose wife just died. Like that was the vibe from LeBron on that.
No, Russell Crowe and Gladiator. So they benefit from that. Seemingly, they get plus 200 in the free throw category post that call. They end up on the season taking 400 more free throws than their opponent throughout the 82 games. And now
something like 9 a game, like just for perspective, it's like, I think it was like an 8.8
plus 9 a game. Damn.
Yeah. Free throw attempt advantage per game.
And some of it I think, is earned by their style of play, of course. I'm not saying the league is just rigging everything for the Lakers, but bitching does work sometimes, because then after the game against the Clippers, where they had just played 4 and 6 nights and were on a back-to-back and went OT in Utah the night before, all the Lakers complain afterwards about the schedule. LeBron had to hold himself back from saying a scheduling loss, and he said scheduling conflict. But I'm pretty sure he wanted to say it was a scheduling loss, that game against the Clippers. And now, after winning last night in the play-in, the team that's the 7th seed in the playoffs gets 4 days off, plays 2 games in the first 6 days in the playoffs. It's not shocking, but it's always irritating to see it like that.
Well, and the whole Pac Div, first of all, shout out the Pacific Division. We haven't even talked about that yet on this podcast, but shout out the Pacific Division. The Clippers and Suns have 1 2-day break. The Lakers have 2 2-day breaks. The Warriors and Kings have 3 2-day breaks with no travel if you're the Warriors and Kings, right? Like it's a 40-minute bus ride or whatever it is. Like it's going to be the schedule. I will say we made our predictions before the schedule was released, but the schedule now, like now that we're seeing it, I'm just like shit. Like they got to take game 1. Game 1 is so huge for the Clippers.
Yeah, you're right. Will, are you as in an uproar as much as I am over this?
I mean, absolutely. Like the thing for this, and it like comes back to the regular season scheduling. The Clippers get boned there too. Like I just don't know. I don't like. What do you?
I like the regular season schedule this season. I'm going to say that I liked it from the beginning. I thought it was a good schedule. It's their own fault they didn't take better advantage of it. So just to be fair, I have no qualms with this year's regular season schedule.
Yeah, but on the flip side, obviously for Paul George coming back sucks. Is less practices for Phoenix a good thing for the Clippers?
Ooh, okay. I think yes. I think it's hard to say no to that, right? Like we at least have some more continuity than the Suns do.
That being said, like 4 games in 7 days is absolutely
so stupid.
It's crazy.
So stupid.
It's 4 and 7.
It's close to it, right? Isn't it, Will?
Isn't it? It's Sunday to Saturday.
Dear God.
4 games.
Yeah, right. Like that's a right.
I'm not great at mental math when it comes to days and times.
Get a pen and paper, Will, and fill it out.
All right. Let me drop this calendar. 30 days, how September, April. Okay. All right.
The other thing that immediately,
my calculations, 4 games in 7 days.
Still right. Damn.
The other thing that gets me going now is I think about if the Clippers win this series, what's the cumulative effect of having?
You picked them to win.
Well, I got them in 6, but yeah, I've been wrong before.
What about this? What say you to this? Clippers just win in 4 all the time in the world before that second round.
Very good point.
Well, they're probably going to need it because Denver's either taking on, let's see, the winner of tonight's game between OKC and the Pelicans plays the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think the toughest matchup for them, I mean, if the Pelicans got back Zion Williamson, it would be that.
They're not going to, though.
Second to that, the Minnesota Timberwolves, if Ant doesn't go 3 for 17 in every game like he did against the Lakers last night.
I still think it's like 5-game series, right?
Probably. So, I mean, they are the 1 seed for a reason.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's not going to be a big issue.
they've earned it. I'm just saying, why are you punishing the teams in the 4-5 matchup? Why? Those are teams that made the playoffs without going through the play-in.
And, I mean, theoretically should be the most competitive of any of the first-round series, right? Whatever. I don't know. It's one of those things like I understand why people are mad about it. You're absolutely correct to be mad. I'm not saying that at all. It's just one of those things like it's so far out of our control. That
All right. I'm done.
Add
You're
it
right.
to the load.
Will-
Add it to the load.
I'm banging my head against the wall. What's the point? Will's right. We got to move on.
All right, moving on. We're going to get into our first real question. We talked Adam's question, but now we're going to talk the most important question to kick off this mailbag. We got a lot of them from Chenny John. Shout out Chenny John, dedicated listener to Clips and Dip. We've met him before. Very chill guy. He wants to know our percent likeliness that the following take place during the Suns Clippers series. Russ triple-double, PG playing by game 4, Ayton getting in a dust-up, CP3 yelling at his teammates, me fighting the Suns gorilla, and Ballmer excitedly rubbing fans' thighs. Let's go with the first one. Russ triple-double game. What percentage do we think that happens?
I'm going to go 70%.
Oh, that's funny you said that. I'm literally going to go 100% because the rotations get shorter and Russ is going to, I don't know if it's going to be a good triple-double. I don't know if it's going to be pretty, but I think there's a 100% chance Russ gets a triple-double at some point in this series.
This is 10 points, 10 boards, 10 turnovers.
Yeah, I didn't put a qualifier. All right, I'm going to go points, boards, assists, 100%. Points, assists, turnovers, 85%.
I'm not doing turnovers.
Will, where are you? On a productive triple-double, which I guess is just not turnovers.
Look, I think that we're going to need Russ's rebounding in this one. I think that could come up clutch. I think if he is around, let's say 7 to 10, that's really going to help this series out for the Clippers. For me, it's really just about the turnovers. Like Russ and triple doubles. I mean, like the production, historically for him, insane. Has it really translated to winning? Certainly not at the highest level. But I think with where I think Chuck, you bring up a good point. Like with rotations, where they're at, even if this thing goes, like let's say it's worst case scenario and it only goes 4 games, I'm still in probably I would say a 70% chance that Russ records a triple double in 1 of 4 games.
Easy, yeah.
Can I amend mine then? I'm going to go to 73% only because that's the win percentage for Russell Westbrook in his career when he has a triple-double, which I'm kind of surprised by too.
That is, wow. How many playoff triples?
What if you consolidated it to playoffs?
My computer burns to the ground.
My computer broke, man. I don't know. I'm actually going to add a percent likeliness to these Chenny John questions because there was a photo that the Clippers team posted, and we love to prognosticate about that. Oh, Adam, what do you got?
It's coin flip, boys. It's 50% in the playoffs.
Right. That sounds about right.
I'm going back to 50% now, not 73, not 70.
Well, yeah, I'm at 50 to 70% is where I would say.
So, okay, I wanted to ask this question because the Clippers posted a post that said, a photo that said like "See you Sunday" or whatever, and it was a practice image, and it had Rocco, Kawhi. Let me look who it was. Rocco was in the practice with the starters jerseys.
I know, but there were only 3 guys in starters jerseys and 3 guys in non.
Right, but one of the guys in non,
Tinker and Ty.
One of the guys in non was Marcus Morris, is my thing. What's your guys' percentage that Marcus Morris plays in this series?
I'm gonna go 51%.
What's that?
51%.
Yeah, I it's definitely more likely than not. I would probably once again go as high as like I'm probably in like 65 to 70% on that.
I'm going 100% again. I'm going 100%
actually, you know what?
Again.
I think that Chuck actually has the right call. I would be. Oh man,
he's like practicing with the second team before the playoffs start. There's no way he's not getting time.
Like unless we once again, that's why I'm so excited for these first 2 games to see A, what we're able to come up with and roll out. B, how Phoenix adjusts, how we adjust to whatever we see out there. But him not touching the floor, like unless we have something working that's rolling so well, I'm struggling. I'm struggling a little bit. Or if the rotations get so tight and once again, we're winning, so we don't have to like prolong that,
Tinker
for
or
a full
anything.
for like a full 7 games. Oh man. I'm still on more likely than not high. I mean, like near 100% that he makes an appearance. I would be stunned. I would be absolutely stunned.
I'm thinking Marcus Morris victory cigar minutes at the end of game 6, He gets out there when the Clippers are up by 25. Why not?
Yeah, screw it. Hey, round 1, that's more. All right, so PG playing by game 4. Will, percent likeliness that this happens. Lest we forget game 4, Saturday. Not this coming Saturday, the next Saturday, 12:30 p.m. at home.
So how many weeks out is that from the injury?
Around 4.
Yeah, it's like 4.5.
I might be at 35%.
That's pretty. I mean, 1 in 3 chances, not bad. Adam, T-Bone, excuse me.
I'm going 50. I'm going 51 again. I didn't make that name tag. You a-hole administrators did.
I didn't do it. I'm not having it. I just work here, bro.
The wino.
You're going 51%.
More likely than not is
you
where
are
I'm coming
hedging
from.
These bets, man.
I don't know if it's a great chance, so I don't want to say like 75%, but 51.
Also, by game 4, does that mean he doesn't like? Game 4 is the tough qualifier for this. I'm gonna go 20% chance. I'm going low. Going 1 in 5.
You might want to watch that practice footage again earlier today with him shooting around.
Yeah, that was some very good stationary practice footage.
That's how he always looks when he's shooting around. What are you talking about?
I know. What do you want me to say? Like
100%.
You didn't even say 100%. All right, DeAndre.
So have you given? You said 51% on everything?
Yes, he has.
No,
on 51%.
I said 50%.
This is why we can't talk about gambling on the show because Adam is like,
this isn't even gambling. I'll tell you what. I wish that when I gambled, Adam was my odds maker. That would be fantastic. Everything would be 50-50. Okay, DeAndre Ayton dust up. Percent chance that happens. Like a skirmish where it's like both the refs got to come in and it's like whoa. Like,
why is it Ayton? Why is Ayton the guy involved here? Where's the history?
I don't know, bro.
For me, low to no, like Chris Paul or something. Yeah,
85%
totally.
easy. Yeah, Ayton. I don't know. Morris isn't playing. I don't think that much. So like, I think
Ayton dusts up with his own coach.
Ooh, 102% chance. All right, so we don't really know about that one. CP3 yelling at his teammates. 110% chance, right?
That's kind of open to interpretation, but yeah, he's going to be yelling at them when he's setting up plays the very first possession.
But I think I know what Chenny John means.
I'm just saying, some people don't take that as well as others. Remember when he was yelling at DeAndre Jordan when he didn't put the ball back in the
Marcus Morris, #1 fan? Will's getting out of control with these names.
It's the one, man.
All right, we got me versus the Suns gorilla in a fight. Who is the gorilla? Not gorilla, it's gorilla.
Chuck's got wiry strength.
I'm abstaining. It's not if I'd win the fight, it's if we get into a fight. I'm losing to the guy who's the gorilla because he's an incredible gymnast who also does it while wearing a gorilla suit.
Well,
unless I light him on fire.
We have inside info that Chuck could be going to games 3 and 4, but is the gorilla going to meet him there on the road?
If he's really about it, he will.
Be in the tunnel waiting for his ass.
I'm going to be in the secret tunnel. I'm going to be
in the gorilla tunnel. The gorilla's ducking smoke from Chuck?
Well, I've heard that all year, man. Ballmer excitedly rubbing fans' thighs.
100%.
I'm going to go 96. Conservative.
I don't want to answer, but it's not that big of a deal. I do it with Noah Eagle all the time when there's a big play. I grab him by the arm or by the leg. Sometimes.
So is this another?
Honestly, one of my
It's a really
favorite
tense moment. It's like a scary movie.
One of my favorite things, like in press row, is like when a moment happens that's so like it's still so incredible. Like you're supposed to keep your composure, but people are still like,
yeah, you do that.
And for listeners, I'm doing the like cover your mouth and you're like putting
Yeah.
your arm over the person next to you.
I do
You mean like the valley oop?
Yeah, I do the Herb Brooks where I just go, just the yeah. Okay, so we all agree 100% chance on the Ballmer thing, except for Adam, who's giving another patented 50%.
And that's an Adam Oslin nearly guarantee.
Almost halfway there.
It's just like everyone's shooting percentage. It could go in, it could not. It's just a 50% chance, right?
I mean, hey, I once had a high school teacher tell me that the lottery is 50%. You either win or you don't.
Oh, really? So is he a big loser? Because he never won.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a history teacher, so yes. Coming up, we're going to get into more of these questions. No doubt some more absurd William Updike names that he's giving us. If you want to see these, check us out at Clippers Podcast on YouTube. We got more questions coming up. The ads have been loud. I recently got a shout out for continuing to do the ad countdown. So I'm going to keep doing it. Ads coming up. Then when we answer more questions, ads coming up in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into Clips and Dip. We took your mailbag questions pre-playoffs for the Clippers. We talked a little bit about some percentage likelinesses of some things happening in this series. But now we're moving ahead. We're talking Jonathan Ang, who wants to say, if you could prognosticate, which where can I just, as an aside, why is everyone saying prognosticate all of a sudden?
Sounds smart.
They are probably all about the same word of the day calendar.
It's like effervescent. If you were to look at like a graph of the usage of a word
chart,
it would be like normal. Last year, anyways.
What pissed me off is when people started saying indeed a lot. Like, oh, I already knew that. Indeed. Yeah, of course. Fuck you.
All right, so Jonathan Ang wanted to know if you could prognosticate what is one out-of-the-box adjustment that you think Ty could throw at the Suns that will be unexpected and will win us a game or two. Adam, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Box adjustment?
Out of the box adjustment.
Oh, out of the box adjustment. Sorry.
Here's the traditional stuff inside the box.
Out of the box. Okay. Maybe Terrence Mann at the 5 some?
Ooh. Okay.
What's up now?
What's up now? That would
Is there room left on that coaching staff, guys?
That would be really interesting. So now that gets weird too, because like when you say at the 5, do you mean guarding DeAndre Ayton at some point?
I think
it's weird with the Clippers, though, right? Because if he's on the floor the same as Batum's kind of the 5 in my head for that.
Well, I think they may at some point, the Suns might try KD at the 5. This is something the Golden State Warriors used to do.
Ooh. Yeah.
And in that case,
they
never know who could be.
They got to reference what worked when he was on a. Yeah, that's a good call.
Say DeAndre Jordan gets into foul trouble, and Bismack Biyombo can't go in this series. But not DeAndre Jordan, DeAndre Ayton, sorry.
Like,
Jordan was still in my brain from earlier.
I would love it if DeAndre Jordan was the starting center right now. That would be great.
The Suns would too. He almost beat him the other night when he was playing for Denver.
That's true.
How about you guys?
I like the Terrence at the 5 thing.
It is a true 5-out lineup out of the box at this point for the Clippers from what we saw through the entirety of the season. This isn't necessarily my pick.
What if they start 5 out?
You're right.
I'm just posing the question to y'all because
it would be.
One of one of the bigger moves that we ended up making was to get another traditional center who I personally don't see getting a whole lot of minutes or usage necessarily in this series. We'll see how things kind of turn out, but it would actually be running what we thought this team was built for at this point, given the regular season, be out of the box, because to me, it would be a little bit.
That's a great call.
It's more like Mason Plumlee at the 1 is the out of the box move.
What I think from what we saw this season, it's going to be 5 1s. It's going to be 1 out.
That's actually
it's going to be the out of the box adjustment.
You're right though, because all year, I mean, what was it? Rocco finished with like
26.
26 minutes with
Oh,
PG and Kawhi
DMPs.
together. No, well, also that. It's probably the same amount of minutes he got with PG and Kawhi together. But now that we're down PG, like it would be incredibly out of the box if we saw let's call the final three. You got Kawhi at the 3, Rocco at the 4, Batum at the 5, and then you got, Terrence and Norm or something. That would be completely out of the box from what the Clippers have done all year. Because also the 5-out lineup has not been very good this season. But Will, I think you're totally right, dude. Like the out of the box thing is the thing that the team has been designed for the whole season.
I mean, in that season, they did make a Western Conference Finals. We did barely see it in the regular season, right? And then we did choose to break it out big time. But I don't know. I don't know. From what we've seen this year, that would be an out of the box adjustment. But I do feel like maybe that's an easy one.
Plumlee and Zoo at the 4 and 5. That's the out of the box adjustment.
Oh.
How about Bones Highland starting by game 4?
So someone asked, we got a question too. Lawler's Law asked, do you think Bones makes an early entrance, Lou throwing stuff against the wall?
Not with the starters. Or, not as the starter.
Right.
It would have to be he has very good performances off the bench in games 1 and 2, and Russell Westbrook's really struggling out there. Yeah. And then Bones Highland gets the start back in downtown Los Angeles game 3.
That's a good call. Yeah. Yeah. He has to have the hot hand in both those games, kind of. Because when Ty Lue's doing this hot hand approach, kind of anything's out of the box, right? Like everything's on the table when you're doing the hot hand approach. And I mean that in a good way, because Ty's been really good with that lately.
What if Bones just abused Chris Paul? Like he just had
Ty's just going to spam that
nothing
over and over and over and over. Like,
what would be early though for Bones? Just coming in before Norm?
I mean, that'd be a surprise for sure.
Yeah, that would be big. That's a good call.
That would be very surprising to me. But once again, it still so much hinges on what we see from these first 2 games.
What about Kawhi at the 5 or the 4?
I think they'd keep him at the 4 just because the Suns have Book and KD, and you'd rather have him on those 2 than Ayton.
I still think even with Kawhi,
just the value of his defense.
That was a little too far outside. My bad.
Even with Kawhi, you still want
the circle now.
You want one of Batum, Rocco, or I guess in theory even Morris out there. I still think you want
not even in theory
someone else out there.
I was this close to being on the coaching staff, and then my resume got shredded.
Adam goes, he's like, all right, Kawhi at the 5. He's guarding Ayton the whole time. We're mirroring their minutes.
Terminator.
A Greggy 626 asks, tinkering Ty is what Coach Lou is known for in the playoffs. Do you guys think Ty will start off by feeling out the Suns and adjust like he has done in previous playoff games, rather than punch the Suns in the mouth first and try to steal game 1, considering we're out PG? This is a good question and kind of something you talked about earlier, Adam. Are we going to go 0-2 to the Suns, or are we just going to come out and try and blitz the shit out of them in game 1? I kind of hope we go that route because we need game 1.
I think even more so now when you see the schedule and they're only going to have 1 day off between game 1 and game 2. They got to get game 1, and they're going to go for it, and they're going to chase a win like you've never seen all season long because you haven't.
They're going to take it seriously, yeah.
Kawhi may play 43 minutes in game 1.
Oh, yeah. Kawhi's got to be at 40 in this whole series if we're going to win. That's not crazy, right? He literally has to.
I mean, only missing 5 minutes in a game, though. That's LeBron James NBA Finals type of stuff that you would see. No, I agree. I think it should happen, and it should happen in game 1 after this long layoff. That's the time to do it.
Will, you had some thoughts.
I mean, there's not time to feel it out. I definitely fully agree with that. I guess the thing I keep coming back to though is what is really this thing in the quiver?
This thing of
that
ours?
We haven't really seen, all season that is suddenly going to come out and be effective. You know what I mean?
It's literally Rocco at the 5-out lineup, and I'm not saying that will solve it, but that's what's funny. That's the one thing, right?
Right? Like outside of that, there's nothing that comes to mind. Now I do think I do expect him in terms of tinkering to be a little bit tighter with the lineups. I do expect sort of everyone across the board to have a little bit less leeway if things aren't working. If you know you have if you come up with a couple of dead possessions, you're getting hunted a couple of times. I expect that those types of rotations are going to be a lot shorter than what we've seen in the regular season. So in that way, I expect him to be tinkering aggressively. But in terms of like coming out with an entirely new look or something like that, like other than the 5-out thing, I'm just not seeing it. Like I'm not seeing what that thing is. I'm not seeing that sort of option, that ace in the hole that we somehow haven't seen all season. Like I just don't see it.
How familiar are you with Jason Preston's game, though? Okay, let me ask you guys percentage chance of this lineup happening, because this is something, granted, with Paul George in there, people have wanted to see all season long. Chuck, not the Condor. You kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier.
Never claimed I was, to be fair.
Mr. 51% wants you to prognosticate on this. Kawhi, Rocco, Batum, Man, Powell. Chance of that happening at some point in this series.
100%.
Ooh. Now we're
100%.
cooking with grease.
Wait, run it down one more time. Sorry, I was messing around.
Kawhi, you're still making the Dr. Prognosticator. Better than proctologist. Kawhi, Batum, Rocco, Terrence, Powell.
I think you could put Bones into one of those spots too, and we'll see it.
I just appreciate the thought that Will is putting.
Will is really thinking. If you're watching this on YouTube, Will is.
I mean, I think
or he's looking for another bottle.
Yeah.
Oh. I think that we definitely see it. I don't know that it's the most effective. And
okay.
Just because Rocco hasn't gotten enough run with like any consistent lineups.
Yeah. And I guess I still like the idea of if we're maybe another bigger guard in there.
Like an
Perhaps
EJ.
a Bones.
Or Gordon. Why not Gordon?
Yeah, or Gordon.
Gordon over.
We haven't talked about him at all. Yeah.
Gordon over Powell in that
situation.
Whoever has
the hot hand between those two I like that idea.
Gordon's a better defender. He was good, legitimately good against Devin Booker. It was one game. I didn't watch many of the Rockets Phoenix Suns games, but in that one game before the All-Star break, I couldn't believe some of the defense he played on Devin Booker in that big Clippers victory.
Yeah, I'm with that.
No, that's a great call. I love that lineup. Sign me up for that.
Coach Adam is back. He's back with the team. They're very happy. Danny H wants to know, will an early exit be seen as just as much of a disappointment, considering that none of us factored in KD ending up in Phoenix and changing the hierarchy in the West, as well as PG getting injured at the worst time?
Yes.
Adam looks upset by this question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is a really tough matchup. There's no way around it. Clippers did themselves absolutely zero favors during the regular season to get any sort of a better matchup. I understand that there were issues. Guess what? Every team had issues. Tons of people had issues. The West was insane. I get that. Fifth was the best case scenario for how this team performed all season. And it was still difficult, right? Like we're still teetering on the edge of a play-in game. No, man, I like
still a disappointment.
I'm going to let it ride out, but like, it is still a disappointment. This is year 4. I understand there are injuries. It's just like there's kind of some recurring themes at this point. And so if it's an early flame out, I'm sorry. I think you have enough of a sample size to definitively say it's time to change something. That's it.
I'm going to focus in on the verbiage of just as much of a disappointment.
51% of you says it was a disappointment.
Dr. Prognosticator says, if they lose on a game 7 on a game winner from Kevin Durant and they played their hearts out and never got Paul George back, I'm going to say, no, sure. It's not quite as much, but the end result is still disappointing. Not as much, but disappointing. They had
But
50
still-
more games with Kawhi than they had all of last season. They had 25 more games with Paul George than they did all of last season, and they only won 2 more games than they did in a weaker West than last season. They put themselves in a position. Sorry, Will.
Would you still say like enough of a sample size to definitively say that something massive has to change? And I'm not even, well, of course I'm advocating.
We know what you want to happen. Will wants Dame to blow it up. That's gold, Will. We know what you want to happen. It's a huge disappointment because of everything Will just said. We've seen this team not really care about the regular season. We've seen this team get in their own way a lot. Like, not caring about the regular season, fine, but it's also you can not care about the regular season and still seemingly make the right decisions, if that makes sense. Like, you can maybe get a better backup center than Moses Brown before the trade deadline. You can not run 3-guard lineups that consistently do not work with Moses Brown on the court, and things like that. So obviously no one saw KD to Phoenix happening. That's huge, but
that's just not true. It was one of his preferred destinations last summer.
But preferred destination stuff, it's like no one knew last summer that it was like, oh, well, the Nets are going to be in this hellish world of Kyrie.
No, really, no one could have saw that.
No one could have saw it coming to the point of him going to Phoenix.
No one could have saw that. He asked for a trade
so.
last summer.
I just don't think that one thing.
Get out of here.
So
get out.
So you're not even
the
listening
Nets.
at this
no,
point.
The Nets were. It was going to magically work for the Nets, and they were going to win a championship, and that team was never going to get broken up. And there's no way Kyrie or KD would move teams. That's absurd.
You know what's BS?
I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying
change his name tag to should have seen it, Chuck. Okay,
I guess.
No, I'm kidding.
My whole thing is KD going to Phoenix. It's not like they're the only team to beat in the West. The West is still incredibly hard if KD doesn't go to Phoenix, right? Like, it's not like this one thing makes it so now the Clippers, it's like, oh yeah, well, if KD wasn't on Phoenix, they should easily get to the Western Conference Finals.
No, I don't care for that, like that type of revisionist history. Like, at the end of the day, you have to play the teams that are in front of you. So what does it matter if, like, let's say whether you have to play KD in the Western Conference or you have to play him in the finals, like, it, to me, it's the same.
That we're saying the exact same thing.
I don't know.
We are. I'm saying that it wouldn't have mattered. They still got to beat whoever's in front of them. They haven't shown any flashes.
No, sorry. I thought that. I'm sorry.
No, this man's all over the place.
All right, change the name tags. We're basically the same. Switch them. Chuck is over there. Will's over here.
I don't know if I'm on team blow it up Dyke yet, but I might be getting close depending how this series goes.
It still was shocking when Kevin Durant was traded. I remember that night distinctly. It still was very shocking
Will
when
apparently
it finally
should have bet his life
happened.
savings on it because next team he could have gotten some crazy odds on that. He could have gotten 51% odds from Adam Osland's betting book.
Oh, I just know that this is a legit super team that the Phoenix Suns, a team that won 64 games last season, the team that was up 2-0 in the finals the year before that adds Kevin Durant. I know Chris Paul is getting older, but they still have 2 very young players who are getting paid handsomely for good reason in Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. This is a super team. If the Clippers lose to them, though, I'm probably going to say they never should have been in this position to match up with them in the first round.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, too, because like it definitely is a better opponent, but you have to consider the totality of how they got there, right? And if in like the nightmare scenario where this somehow goes less than 6 games, hugest of disappointments. I know that I keep bringing this up.
So if the Clippers sweep, you'll be disappointed?
I'm saying the opposite.
You said less than 6 games. What if they win 4?
Like if the Clippers can't force at least 6 games in this one, like I know they're different teams. I know everything is different, but like 18-19 Clippers took the super team Warriors.
Yeah.
Like which was to me a much true, like the superest of super teams.
Yeah. That Clippers team won 4 more games during the regular season than this Clippers team.
Something to it.
And had the largest playoff comeback in the history of the NBA. Still the greatest bingo ever recorded is that Lawler bingo on the Shamet 3. Man, what if instead of watching the Clippers get beat, I just watch that game anytime the Clippers are playing? Just the replay of that. Could be fun. Depending how game one goes.
Won't hurt at all seeing SGA make that pass to Shamet.
Oh, yeah. What's up with the OKC's underscore right now? Do we have any more thoughts?
Game hasn't started yet.
It's 6:30. Any other thoughts on these wonderful questions?
They were good and thought-provoking.
We got Blow It Up Dyke out of it. I'm agreeing with Will. We got Dr. Prognosticator. This is good stuff. Thank you to everyone who sent these into @ClippersPod. We got one more big question coming up. It's going to be very brief. We actually have two. This is a surprise one that I wanted to ask Adam. We got ads coming up. So if they've been a little loud for you, go ahead and turn it down. And if you're tired of me saying to turn it down, I don't know. Get a pillow.
Turn down for
it's
what,
Charles? It's
Charles?
not going to stop. We got an ad break coming up, and then more mailbag questions. Ads coming up in 3, 2, 1. What is going on? Welcome back to Clips and Dip, episode 134. We got a question from Yeti Moose, who wanted some regular season grades on players. We also got a question from someone asking how come Yeti Moose and Adam were in the same thread on Twitter and they weren't fighting. Adam, have you squashed all your beefs with Yeti Moose?
I got a new enemy, Jesse Beer. Okay.
All right. Well, if you want to give him airtime, if you want to give the attention to it, go for it.
Well, this is just too funny. Last night on Twitter, Jesse hates whenever I say anything good about the Lakers. And 2 months ago, I said if the Lakers are healthy and they get the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round, they're going to bounce them. So they win last night. They're taking on Memphis in the first round. I retweet myself with the emoji, like, I really don't want this to happen, but it could happen. And it's basically a coin flip of a series if you're looking at the odds.
Oh, we know you think it's a coin flip.
Jesse immediately said, yeah, it's about 51% chance, I'd say, that the Grizzlies are supposed to win. Yeti Moose's pal. Jesse said immediately to that, no, it's not going to happen. The Grizzlies, they're not going to beat the Grizzlies, the Lakers. And then I said, I did the little gif from The Office of the guy jotting down a note, like he's taking note of what your prediction was. And then he responded with something that he ended up deleting. Not just that he deleted this tweet, he deleted his account.
What? What did he say?
Unless I'm missing something.
Can you say it on air?
And I just got blocked and he didn't delete his account. It's just I can't see anything from him. It's at JE_C_unplugged. And yes, he was. And unhinged. And on one. And I love Jesse. But I got to call it like I see it. I don't want the Lakers to win, but if I think they're going to win, I'm going to say it.
He deleted his account.
He just totally pulled the plug, like hit the eject button after this. It's not that bad. I thought we could get through it. But here's what he said back to me after I did that Office meme. He said, you have such a hard-on for them, man. I don't get it. They barely beat a Minnesota team missing 3 key players and Ant having a horrendous night. Stop it, bro. Is it that bad? Did you have to delete your account over? Just full reverse?
I mean, I guess.
The Lakers, this was at the top of the episode, the bad game that I alluded to that meant nothing to me. That performance from the Lakers, I don't know how that's like really, I don't know how that's bolstering any confidence. Talk about another team though that's like, during the season did they have like 4 out of 7 really great games like at their peak against great competition?
I just think it's matchups, and the Grizzlies are missing Steven Adams and Brandon Clark.
Totally.
And LeBron and AD in a 7-game series can be a major problem. But I don't want them to win. I just pointed it out, and I'm patting myself on the back for making that call 2 months ago. And Jesse just had enough. He had enough of Twitter. I sent him off a cliff with his Twitter account because of this. I hope he comes back. I like Jesse. I used to follow him before he'd always go so hard on me. Whenever I wasn't hard enough on the Clippers too, he'd get mad at me for that. So it's like, I can't win with some people.
You really can't. You cannot, and that's a shame.
Except Yeti Moose.
Except for Yeti Moose, who is your pal?
One against him when we're talking about Jamal Crawford versus Norman Powell.
That is true. All right, so speaking of Yeti Moose, we got these questions. He wants some regular season player grades. Oh, man, that is a throwback. Let's start with the starting 5/starting 6. We're going to do these real quick. Kawhi Leonard, A+.
A+.
Right? No real argument here.
Yeah.
He's picking you up after you get a flat because he's AAA.
Love that.
Who next?
Paul George. My mic cut out yet again.
Paul George, B-.
Interesting.
I could be talked into a B.
I was going to go lower. I was going to go C. For Paul George, this was an average season.
I can't be talked into that.
I mean, there were times when he was putting up 12 shots. He talked about how he doesn't want to be the number one. He started a very boring podcast. This is a C. This is an average season for Paul George. Will, where are you at?
Man.
It's not an A. It's not a B+.
I always felt like the C, though, when you're getting graded in school and them technically saying that's average, it's not fucking average. Like, your parents are not being like, okay, you're average, you're doing all right. No, they're still mad if you're getting a C most of the time.
Oh, yeah. I was like, my parents were very upset if I got C. Will, where are you at?
Yeah, I might have to go C-.
Ooh, damn. I don't know if it's that low, but
I would say below expectations from Paul George for me.
All right.
I felt like
in the grand scheme of players, like I'm not talking about like I'm not talking about like this is a like
failure. Yeah.
I'm not grading him among all 450 players. I'm saying my expectations for him in this team, he's a C- for me. I feel like he fell short of expectations. Injuries aside.
Yeah, can't blame him for that, for sure.
I'm giving him a little bit of a pass because when the right knee soreness seemed to go down, he looked like a very different player. It seemed like it was really affecting him. Yeah, so I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt there.
All right.
B-.
Then we're going to go current starter, Nick Batum.
C+.
This is probably this is
B.
probably this is a C for me, probably.
It's just he was so up and down shooting wise. He still finished at 39%.
Yeah.
And he didn't play a lot. Now, the hope is the reason for that is about to happen, where he's going to play huge minutes in a series where you need him most because of his versatility out there. It's almost like an incomplete with Nicholas Batum, just inconclusive,
Well, it's tough too because just like after the first breakout season that he had here, it's really hard to overachieve those sort of expectations and everything.
It was so good.
And so like when I say C for Batum, I'm not saying that I think he was bad. It was just a little bit business as usual. I wasn't
whelmed.
There were games
he was
where
whelmed. He wasn't overwhelmed.
I was. Yeah, there were games where I was certainly overwhelmed, but in the whole, I kind of washes out. C.
All right, Big Zoo.
I go B+.
Easy. Yeah, I feel like I gotta go A, man. Most doubles of his career. We really saw the difference between him and Mason fucking Plumlee out there on the defensive end. This was a great season from Zoo.
I could see an A. Yeah, I could see that.
I'll go A-.
Damn. Professor Oslin, bro. What do I got to do to get? What does Zoo got to do to get an A?
Zoo, if he gets back to playing that same defense he did to start off the season, and I know injuries.
All right, that's fair.
I'm just saying, if he was able to sustain that, then A+ for sure. But the Clippers finished 17th defensively, and he still played 70 games.
All right. Okay, fair. Russell Westbrook.
B.
Yeah, I agree with
I would
B.
say I would say
yeah.
B for Brody.
It was definitely above average, and like what I thought, how I thought that fit and everything was going to go. It definitely went better than expected. So definitely, for me and my grading curve, whatever that is, I would have to say definitely a solid B plus.
It's going to be fun to revisit this after the playoffs because how these might change. Marcus Morris, where are we at on his final season grade? I'm going fucking D. I'm going a D.
You're putting him in detention?
Yeah, he got benched.
I think it's
he didn't even get benched. He's not in the I don't know, man. It's a D. He was terrible on defense. He was really bad.
You guys forgot about the first couple months of the season, obviously. You just forgot.
Yeah, that was 100 years ago.
I did, because then it got so bad. It's not like it was average. If it was average, I'd give him a C+. But after the first couple months of the season, oh man, was it bad. That does not excuse some of the fan behavior on his personal accounts. I'm not saying that at all, but he was playing some bad basketball.
Can this be like a group grade and I'll just kind of go along group project style?
Why? What are you about to give him?
No, it's whatever. Below a C.
Marcus Morris turns in his paper like 3 days late, and Adam is like, yeah, I don't know, whatever. What was the normal grade for this?
It's tough because it just looked like he was degrading as a player out there. Right. You know, I don't put it on. I gotta say, right? Like, it just didn't look the same. But he tried hard, and he could still come up big in the playoffs.
He could. All right, bench players. Terrence Mann,
A plus.
Damn, A plus.
Do you remember that little portion of basketball where the Clippers looked the best that they've looked all season? And
was that before the All-Star break?
There was one really noticeable change that happened, even with old decrepit Marcus Morris in the lineup.
You mean when they almost blew leads to Chicago, Atlanta, and New York and got really lucky in 3 of those games? Unfortunate. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it doesn't look as pretty when you dig into the details of that 10-4, 14-game sample size. I'm just saying.
I think 10-4 feels a lot better than 500 or whatever we are.
But Batum hitting that 3-pointer to send it into overtime in the Garden. That was that man.
What does he want? Is he supposed to not hit it?
No, he is. And I'll go B plus.
And you'll okay. Bones Highland. I'm going A just because it's really fun to watch him play basketball. And
I'm going A.
He's a lot better at point guard than I thought he was.
I would have to go A. Just based.
2 ends.
What?
Man, fan. Put 2 ends on.
Why would the fan have 2 ends?
For branding.
I don't know. I have to go A once again, and this is another one like kind of based on expectations. So these guys coming in post All-Star are really getting a little boost in the.
Oh yeah, they are for sure.
I mean, a guy who was like completely out of the rotation in Denver. Serious questions about how he could get to the rim, finish anywhere outside of the 3-point arc, and just the energy and everything that he's brought. I would have to go B.
And we're also gonna do some more in-depth ratings once the season's over. We have a little more time. Eric Gordon. Oh wait, sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
What? Because the Marcus curve, I just get skipped now. I'm gonna go with the Marcus curve. I gotta give Bones. I mean, an A- at least, right? For grading on a curve here, and the way he.
If you're grading everyone on the Marcus curve, I think everyone
has an A.
Everyone got that thing where you can get like a 4.1 GPA because AP classes.
That was OChem.
These fake ass GPAs. No, I had a 5.6. No, you didn't. No, you did not. You had a 4.0. It's fine. All right, Eric Gordon.
I know what somebody's giving him.
I'm going like B. I don't know, B minus. B.
I'll go B because I like him in the starting lineup and I've liked him closing at times. I think
B for basketball head.
Yeah, I will.
P perfection.
Really?
That basketball mind. It was just something that the Clippers were missing, and I'm really glad that we have that on the court.
I mean, he has lit it up the last couple of games with point totals of 9, 5, and 6.
No, I for Eric Gordon, I would definitely. I'd probably go B minus.
Yeah, hasn't underwhelmed.
Yeah, I'm B, solid B.
His long range shooting, very useful. We need it, love it. Mason Plumlee.
Ooh, man.
I'm going C minus. The defense is very bad.
C minus.
Yeah, but you didn't. You expected him to be. What did
not
you
as bad
expect
as he
him to
was
be on that end?
Not as bad as he is right now, I guess. And you know what? I'm also giving a C minus. Too much flash. Don't do yo-yo dribbles. We don't need those. Just play regular fucking basketball, Mason. Like, no one called you here to bring the ball up and like, whoa, like we don't need it. Focus instead of doing the yo-yo dribble drill, defensive drills. That's what I would like, I guess. Also, but shout out him, he's shooting with his left hand.
Let Point Plum cook. I'm going C minus too. The defense. Also, because I felt like the defense was better earlier on, then he had a lull defensively. But the last couple of games, he has been better on that end. Did he play the entire fourth quarter against Phoenix? In that game, they didn't take him off the floor because he had a nice run.
Oh, yeah.
And he and Busy got into it, but then worked it out, smoothed it out. Busy passed to him right afterwards. It's all good.
Yeah.
So, but C minus overall.
All right. Robert Covington.
I didn't get my Plumlee grade.
Oh, what was your Plumlee grade?
A.
A?
After watching Moses Brown? Baby, that is a...
That's
the Moses Brown curve?
Yeah, that's the Moses curve, dude. That's... Yeah, I mean, sure, yeah, I'll give him an A. I'll give him the I'll give him the 5.6 GPA if we're grading on the after Moses Brown curve. All right, Robert Covington. Got to be incomplete, right? Like... The man was not allowed to play basketball.
It's really tough because he did have some stints when we were like begging to see him back in the lineup that stunk.
Yes, that is a very fair point. I cannot. Yeah, it's not like he's been crushing it when he was out there. I'm
gonna give him an A, honestly, because he was put in some really bad positions with some interesting lineups and was getting 10, 15 minutes a week. He'd get 2 stints, and he still ended up shooting almost 40%, 0.397 from 3 is where he ended up. And I thought he came on certainly when he got more consistent minutes the last 2.5 months of the season.
I think the one-on-one defense fell off a bit. He's a great defender in space, which I hope we see against Phoenix. But A is crazy. But hey, it's your classroom.
It's hard to stay ready like that and perform. And I thought he did.
That's fair. Amir Coffey. Incomplete.
This has to be an incomplete because he didn't get enough run for me to say that it was like a regression. Like, how can you judge a guy who's like been so much more of a consistent fixture in the lineup, even in that inconsistency, than it was this season? That's too hard for me.
Yeah, a pass.
Pass? You're a teacher. You signed up for this.
We're not going to hold him back a year.
I hope he can go flourish. Brandon Boston Jr.
Send him out into the world.
Let him fly, Brandon.
No, he's not going to get run on this team to develop well enough, at this level.
Great in the G League. Had some incredible performances in the G League. And same with the next guy, that's Musa. Like, just guys who it's like, it's not now for these guys.
Musa, though, still has the utility in the future, I think, for the Clippers.
Also, this team isn't Wingstop anymore. It's Olive Garden, and there's just too many guards for him to get time.
Olive Garden? I like that. We got to put that on Twitter. That's fantastic. All right, and then finally, Ty Lue. We'll dive into this more in an off-season episode, but what is your grade for Ty Lue this year, regular season-wise?
You guys go.
Well,
D.
I gotta go
C
D
minus,
too.
like C minus to D.
Dude, I have to go D. It's just like the Moses Brown stuff. Not thinking.
It just felt like
the team needed John Wall and Russell Westbrook and all this stuff. It's like Yeah, I don't know, man. There's just some weird decisions.
And maybe this isn't what's happening, and I'm like reading or prognosticating or doing whatever the hell you do too much of. It just felt like at times he was trying to prove a point more so than he was trying to win games.
Yes.
And maybe I'm wrong on that. And that is what he was trying to do. But man, watching it, yeah, at times it felt like he had this thesis that he was trying to prove. And
Reggie, Luke, and John Wall just failing over and over and over on the court together.
And record be damned, like anything, any sense of logic at times be damned. Like this to me was, he has an absolute, like this could be an A in 2 weeks, but right now, yeah, I'm at D. It's a D for me.
Adam?
I mean, finals are going to outweigh any of these grades, obviously, but
totally agree. Moose's final grade might be higher than his regular season grade.
You guys said C was average, right? So I'll go with C for Coach Lue, because I just think there was a lot to juggle. I think there was a disconnect between coaching staff, front office. It didn't seem like guys were on the same page. And I think overall, they thought they had a wider margin for error than they obviously did in the regular season, that they could tinker and experiment more and still win ball games. And that didn't happen.
My question would be, based on what?
Yeah,
based on what?
Based on our prognostications coming into this season where we thought they might win 60 games.
We're calling it. We've hit the limit of saying the word prognosticate. We've hit the limit. All right. We're going to have a game 1 preview tripod on Friday with a potential special guest who's going to be on that pod. Double dip for sure after the game on Sunday. Maybe a full post-game pod. Who knows? Game 2 preview pod that we're going to have to record on Monday because the Clippers play on Tuesday. Adam, I feel like we need a little bit of positivity. What would you like to end this pod on positivity-wise?
A bit self-serving, but if anybody comes at me for sounding hypocritical early on in this show because I talked about the schedule for the Clippers being poor in the playoffs after recently going after the Lakers for complaining about the schedule, here's the difference. If you have the fewest amount of back-to-backs in the regular season, you probably shouldn't ever complain about the schedule. That's the difference. The Clippers have a legitimate gripe. The Lakers do not. That carries over now into the playoffs where the Lakers have multiple days off. The Clippers do not. All I'm saying, but here's something positive that people might like.
Go fuck yourself.
How about you suck? How about the listeners give grades for us?
No. No. How about not?
False.
I'm getting an F. Will's getting an F. You're getting an A because
I'm not getting an A.
You're getting an A 100%. Yeti Moose, if you're listening to this, give me an A.
I got enemies.
You do, weirdly. It's very odd that you have enemies. That's why your windows are so
grade us, but it's like Evergreen College.
Yeah. Grade us on the Marcus curve. How about that? Grade us on the Marcus curve. That wraps up episode 134 of Clips and Dip. Will, where can these people review us?
So you can review us over on Apple Podcasts, sometimes known as iTunes, if you haven't updated your app in a while. Also Spotify. You can listen to us, obviously, on either one of those platforms. You can also listen to us on Google Podcasts. We're on Stitcher. We're on Deezer. We're on Amazon Music. Anywhere you get your podcast, go ahead and check us out. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube. You're missing out on all sorts of great inside jokes that are happening on the video feed. That's YouTube at Clippers Podcast. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter. That's at Clippers Pod. While the site still exists, we'll still be there bringing you content.
We'll be there as long as possible, and then whatever alternative to Twitter there is,
we're going to stick on way too long. We're not going to be there. Buddy.
Yeah, we're going to stay on way too long. That's fantastic. We will talk to y'all on Friday, and hey, as always, let's go Clips.